Hey everybody, Charlie 902 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, well, I think you can see the predicament we're in. We figured out Mr. Egbert Benedict's plot to steal the disc from Gina Lestrada. And when we confronted him with this deduction, he pulled a gad on us, look! And now he's telling us to hand over the disc or absolutely not. I think we're going to hand over the disc because we know that there is one bullet in there and we don't want to die. He could shoot me at any moment. I hate to give in, but what other choice do I really have here? Mr. Windybank, this is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windybank, no. All right, that's enough. Hey, Gregson. Inspector Gregson. Where are your fish and chips? Also, your little bobbies there, they're looking kind of sinister with those overcoats and clasps on. Or cloaks, I guess, better. Inspector Gregson. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was a moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. Petty? Mr. Windybank very nearly met with his end. Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of this case, the case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're going to have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Whoa! He's getting away! Get after him, lads. Whistle the beat officer, too. Sir. Did he steal the disc? He stole the disc, didn't he? There's been a spat of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So we fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in Mourning. Oh, yes? I'll be taking that whatever it is off McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. No, don't give it to him, it's mine, that is. Mine! I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Okay, so there is something linking us to the McGilded case. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. I bet I'm right. I bet the whole thing is about Lord Van Zykes. They've been hitting to it. I bet we're finally going to see where he plays into this and why he's called the Reaper. It's all yours, Inspector. Grr. And so we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson. And we're summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Turfed? To be continued. We haven't even gotten to like a case or anything yet, other than just this like attempted theft here. All right, we're gonna save it. Let's save over number 1 here. And hit back. Let's see how this story turns out. 15th of April, Baker Street. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh, really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the D let me keep it after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He even went through the pockets and then said, go on then, have it, before telling me to scarper? Always pays off giving people a look like you hate them. I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mind. The music box disc. But Mr. Windybank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm going to go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare. I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Windybanks again today. Why not? That's not fair. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in the coat's pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what the Rotten Cove said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yeah, and it's all your fault, Sholmes. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No ta. Oh. Why would I come round your place? Have you lost your head or something? Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting. What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Miss Usato. Until later, then. Okay. Is there more to examine? It doesn't appear so. But we're going to check it out just to be sure. Already looked here. Okay. Looks like we're just going to move. Can't go to the pawnbroker. We can go to our room. We can go to Sholmes' suite. Let's go to Sholmes' suite, I guess. "15th of April, 3:46 p.m., Sholmes' suite." 3 p.m., so we've been doing this since breakfast. We need to eat some food. Ah, Susie and Runo, come in, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already, you're obviously cooking something special, are you? Ah yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. Hee hee, you'll never guess. It's Gina Lestrade. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear. It is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny! Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, that's wonderful news. Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. Can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh yes, that does sound like fun. Not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Looks like he's brooding over there. Hurley always been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. What? I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes. Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly a parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Runo? You have ever such a funny look on your face. Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How? How did you... Hehe. Oh, Runo, I can read you like a book. This girl is dangerous. Don't worry. You can ask me anything. I won't mind. Time to talk to her. Converse. Let's look around the room first, see if there's anything changed. I don't think there is, other than the Stradivarius is back. This all looks the same. There's a gramophone back here. Sholmes is being weird. Let's look at the Stradivarius. Now this really is Mr. Sholmes' faithful performing partner then. The Strappy Scar, the Scrapaferic, no, it's no good. It's gone. The Virtuoso's violin that he found on pawnbrokers and managed to buy for next to nothing. After all we went through to get it back, he just cast it aside on that chair. I was looking forward to hearing the beautiful sound it makes when Mr. Sholmes plays it. It does look rather sorry for itself there, doesn't it? Although, at least Wagahai hasn't attacked it yet, even if his eyes are saying it's only a matter of time. Let's try you again, Sholmes. So, Mr. Sholmes, what are you so engrossed in? Did you not hear? I am not here. Of course you're not. I cannot think why the whole bed of the ocean is not one solid mass of oysters. So prolific the creatures seem. Ah, you won't even turn around and look at me. It's best just to leave him alone when he's off in one of his moods like this. So he's just lost in thought, trying to think of like impossibilities or why the bed of the ocean isn't covered in oysters. This is insane. Okay. Yes, I can see that. All right, let's go back. Let's talk to Iris. Jenny. So, by Jenny, you mean Miss Lestrada, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, hee hee, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh? And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh? There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Jenny wants to make me a whole rainbow. Wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrada keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Jenny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. Just hope she does actually come. Living with Sholmes. sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? It's a weird question to ask somebody. Yeah, that's not nice to ask. My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born. And around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a far away land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Oh. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mystery cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really, he recorded them all? So you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes. I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up and found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. So Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Iris's father. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, it must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Ain't it the truth, girl? Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Isn't he only... He's like 34, right? Maybe Wilson was much older? Oh, I see. The other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It's quite a shock for everyone. Sounds like he has like a mental disorder. You can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. Iris's father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Oh, it's all coming back together. The guy who was murdered, the professor of medicine, was her dad. Oh my goodness. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in the case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. How did I miss that? I think it's because I've had to split this playthrough up over several weeks. And I just, like, didn't cross my mind the first case. Oh, I feel dumb for not putting that together. That's right, visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University, and the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Susato. Yes? Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. I agree. Hey, he's back. Ah, my dear fellows. How good to see you. Ich, Mr. Sholmes. Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Ah. Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? He's got like short-term memory loss, right? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? Huh? My violin? Whatever you're talking about, dear madam. Oh, never mind that. Now I've had something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc? No, not another disc, Mr. Sato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence, Mr. McGilded's disc. Oh my. Then what's it doing here? Hehehe. You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think, though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may have well been even more adept at larceny. Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such a beautiful handwriting, she could write all of our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Why do you have the music disc again? And I didn't see blood on it. What do we got over here? Anything worth note? Doesn't appear to. Okay, let's do conversation. Why do you got the disc? I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. Some caramel? That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Did he make a mold of the disc and then pour another disc? Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of Miss Gilded down to the yard, of Mick Gilded down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did, but I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars. Like this. That's amazing. No way you did that, but whatever. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves to be very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. Simple press, and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. So you did pour another disc copy, that's why it doesn't have the blood on it. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. The music on the disc. Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented use a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced which used discs, such as these. When that developed, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the play into different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. Ah, I see. So that's why. Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's early for you, always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Magnus McGilded. How does this all link back to him? Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Flashback to fire? Flashback to fire. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. With the Reaper looking on with his smoldering eyes. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. Well, yeah, somebody still died nonetheless. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what happened that night, what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. I don't think it was. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.